Morning! Laura here. Hope everybody is well. Today we are going to learn about loom knitting, which is a super favorite activity of mine. My sister Lisa taught me how to do it. We are going to, like our dear friend Maria from The Sound of Music says, we're going to start at the very beginning. A very good place to start. And the very beginning is knowing what you need to loom knit. So today we're just going to talk about tools. This is a circle loom. Whoop. It's got a little outie button here. This one's made of plastic. I've seen some that are made of wood with little metal pegs. Sounds nice. Some come with removable pegs, which is helpful if you want to do a different pattern in the thing that you're making. You could change out your pink peg, say, with a green peg, and then you would know here's where you do a different stitch to make your pattern. So that's something to look for. Mine don't have removable pegs. I like that because in the beginning, the first thing I ever made was to be a blanket for my son Israel. For a year, I was going about my business until I realized I had accidentally knit like a sleeping bag. I never stopped what I was doing. I just kept going around and around and around and around in one direction. So it was connected to itself. It couldn't open like a blanket. So I undid that. The stitch I was using was so tight that it actually ended up snapping the pegs off of my loom. And so that's kind of why I like a more permanent peg, because I don't have to worry about them falling out. Now, if they snap off, that I can't help, but falling out was something I was worried about. So I chose looms that are all one piece. So this is a circular loom. This big in here, I use to make hats for myself and my children and, you know, whoever else I want to torture with a handmade hat. They come in all sizes. This is the biggest one I've ever seen. They come down to about this big. I don't know where mine is. You can make socks with that, mittens with that. We make little hats for Dorothy's dolls. So that's fun. That's fun. She can even work a loom. So that's something to think about while you're learning. Your little ones can also be learning. This is not something that children cannot do. They can. Here we have a rectangle loom. These are good for, say, scarves. You could make a scarf on this too if you just didn't connect from one end to the other. You can make panels for blankets. Excuse me. You can make any number of things with this. You can make a wider thing item if you go all the way around, or you can make a double-sided knit, so it looks the same on the front and the back, so it's got no ugly side, it's only got nice sides. If you cast on your yarn between the two rows. Something to think about. That makes a nice scarf. Here we have the big Mama Jamma, which I am working on. But this is an S loom, and this puppy makes a big enough piece that it stretches across a twin size bed. And this is the one that I broke the first time because I was doing the stitch that it said, or I thought I was doing the stitch that it said to do in the manual, and it just came so tight that it snapped my pegs off. So my mama kindly bought me a new replacement one, and I've been working with that ever since. This is good for making shawls, blankets. I like it too because it has, the pegs are slightly closer together than these. So you can use a thinner yarn, or you can get just a tighter weave, which is kind of cool. Now, those are our looms. Now you think with loom knitting, maybe that's all you need. It is not all that you need. You need hooks. Excuse me. Here's a little rubber coated hook that usually one will come with your kit. But I lose them all the time. So I can order them from Amazon. I have picked some up at Walmart. I have found one. I was riding home slightly drunk from my mother's house one night on my bicycle, and there was a free pile on the side of the road, and I pulled over and found the greatest loom hook I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know where that thing is, but I'm going to rip this house apart and find that. He had a nice big chunky thing back here, and the hook came nice and straight off. See, this guy I don't like because, see, it doesn't, this one comes straighter across. This one kind of shoots up at an angle. And I don't love that because I find like it's hard to get up in there. But, you know, everybody's different. So maybe this guy would make you happy. Also, his little rubber handle versus this one has a nice little thumb and finger spot. And it's a harder plastic. So, you know, I think A, it's a matter of preference, and B, it's a matter of what you can dig out of your couch cushions when you're in the mood to knit. That being said, you also will need a couple things after you're all done with your knitting. You're going to need a couple things to get your project off of the loom. Now, when you're making a hat, you're going to leave like a tail of yarn and put it in. This is a yarn needle. I have some metal ones, which I actually like a little better. They came with the last package of hooks that I purchased. But these plastic ones don't come with your loom kits. I've never had one come with a needle, but you can buy them, you know, at a craft store or what have you. But you see, it's got a big fat eye, and you can fit your yarn through that, and it's very long. And you end up using this and put it through each stitch at the end of a hat. I don't want you to get ahead of yourself or get worried about it, but you'll do that, and then you just yank the yarn, and that closes the top of the hat. That's how that's done on a loom. Now, when you're making a scarf or a blanket, you don't want to pull it all in. It'll look ridiculous. So you use a crochet hook. And what you do in that case, you know, each yarn is going to be like attached here. You're going to pull one off, and then you make a couple loops, and then you pull the next one off, and you make a couple loops. And that keeps your blanket or your scarf or whatever you made from bunching up. Sorry, I should have brought tea or water. I don't have any. So is that everything you need? No. A floppy tape measure. Floppy tape measures are nice because sometimes when you're following a pattern, someone will say, and then we do blah-de-blah stitch for 6 inches. And this is how you're going to find out where your 6 inches are, that you're doing blah-de-blah. Usually, because I am lazy and because I'm not following a pattern, I just eyeball it. I will make my children come over and stand with the loom over their head, trying to see how much more space I need to go to get it down over their ears. Particularly fun when I've made balaclavas because they feel like they're strangling because there's only, you know, the little face hole. But you can make some really fun and lovely things. Yarn differences will make for a different product, a different end product. We have, for the looms, I like to use chunky yarn. On this package, it says super bulky 6 is its rating. And you see that's a big, thick piece. And I like that because that makes a big, thick, warm hat and a big, thick, warm scarf. And you can't really see, you know, because you can't control how close together these things go. So it closes in the holes nicely. I don't always have a chunky yarn. I made, when Francesca was born, I made her a hat. I think I must have meant to make her a blanket too, because I have an awful lot of this yarn left over. Now this is super thin. Look at this skinny stuff. What are we rated here? This is a 3, okay? To make Francesca's hat, I ended up taking 4 balls of this and just pulling them together to make a thicker bit of yarn. And that worked fine. Sometimes it's frustrating. Maybe one will get tangled or they tangle in each other, and that's annoying. But it works. Now, for my mother-in-law's birthday, I made her a cowl out of this adorable rainbow stuff, but it is very thin. You can see, what is it? What is it? I'm sorry, this tried to call itself a 5 bulky. That's insane. This is the skinniest stuff I've ever worked with. It's like dental floss. And when I worked it on the loom, I liked it because it actually left kind of this open stitch, which I thought looked pretty. So you can use thinner yarns, but you're not going to get a closed product. Here is a scarf I've been working on for a long time because I took a break from it. And again, I use a lot of yarn that I've either been given or find on sale or have, you know, just kicking around that I don't remember how I got it. So I try to make that work. I don't want to spend a fortune. I would love to spend a fortune actually on knitting. I just lied there to you. I want to go to like a local sheep farm and an alpaca farm, and I want to buy local yarn, you know, from someone who made it on their own spinning wheel. That's what I want to do. Right now, I choose not to budget my money that way because my kids will be pissed if there's no dinner. So anyway, to make up for this black ball of yarn that I had being very skinny, I rolled it into 2. And that is making a sufficiently bulky yarn for a scarf, I think. What else do we have here? Anything? Well, good. Oh, here, I do want to show you something that I made. I've got this here. Now, this was made with bulky yarn, and I kind of invented this pattern myself because I had seen one online, and I said, I can do this. So this is a cute little baby acorn hat that I made this autumn. Look, it's got a little tail. Isn't that adorable? So what I'm thinking is, let's meet up again, and I will teach you about casting onto these looms. Then we can learn about some different stitches. And then if y'all want to, we can work together and make a cute little baby acorn hat. And maybe if I can get in touch with Pam, she can lend us like the link to her little family's organization. And maybe we can send off some little NICU acorn hats to the sick little babies, or the babies who are waiting to come home, or the babies who might not get to come home. Because, well, because this is their life too. And let's see if we can make it nice for them. Okay, so I will see you again soon, and we will get to work after you've got your materials ready. Bye-bye.